joining us today. My name is Bipin Ravindran. I am one of the product managers in the industrial IoT space, focusing on industrial wireless. So in today's webinar, we are going to cover what are the latest updates on the industrial wireless. So before we jump into that, let's talk about some of the prominent industries where we serve and where wireless is an absolute requirement. So let it be manufacturing, let it be where you have a lot of automated vehicles, let it be in ports or mining where you have teleremote operations. And then in the rail, as you know, more and more it's getting automated. And then in the rest of the outdoor rugged environment where you need connectivity. The question is, I don't think anyone has a question about how we connect these things. The question is how reliable this connectivity needs to be, because in today's world, when these more and more things are getting automated, everything demands some sort of specific requirements, either in terms of bandwidth or in terms of latency, reliability, availability, and all those things. So there are different types of requirements. Now, can a traditional Wi-Fi network support all these things? That's what we are going to see in the next couple of slides. So let's take an example as a manufacturing floor. In a typical manufacturing floor, someone goes and do the site survey, and then you put the access points, and then you have AGVs moving around, carrying things. There are forklifts carrying the moving the things around and all those things. And then everything works fine until one day the whole situation changes. There are all of a sudden there are racks in between, there are walls, and there are pillars and all those things, and there is a connectivity issue. Now, your traditional, your typical access points that serve the wireless clients, let it be your barcode scanners, your tablets and whatnot, your cell phones and all those things, they may not experience such a connectivity issue most of the times. But how about the AGVs and the forklifts which takes these mission critical operations? They get into trouble in most of the times because of these connectivity issues when it happens. Now, how Cisco can solve this, that's what we are trying to see in the next couple of slides. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Cisco ultra reliable wireless backhaul technology, but in a very high level, this can solve, or this works really well when you're trying to do backhauling in two different types of scenarios. One is a fixed scenario where you can think of a point-to-point, point-to-multipoint type of connectivity. You might be interconnecting buildings, you might be interconnecting whichever point A to point B connectivity which you are doing. Basically, your network is fixed, where you have a higher cost of running a fiber, either because it's too far, or it's because of the environmental challenges that you have. Either way, you are running a cable becomes very expensive. The second scenario is one on the right side, which is a mobility piece. So we just looked at the example of manufacturing. So it could be manufacturing, mining, ports, anywhere where you can think of moving assets, and that needs a connectivity. When we talk about connectivity, we are talking about that reliability, latency, and all things in mind, which we just discussed earlier. So these are these are the two main scenarios where the Cisco ultra reliable wireless backhaul can add value. Why? Because this is slightly different from your traditional Wi-Fi network, even though it operates on the same chipsets and same spectrum and frequency and all those things it makes use of. The underlying technology is slightly different. Your regular Wi-Fi connectivity uses while a CAP technology. This one is basically making use of an MPLS based underlying algorithm, which makes it's unique. It establishes an overlay network. Basically, it's like you are connecting the devices right to a switch, and it has a make before break technology when it roams. So basically, before detaching one connection, you are establishing another one. And then there is a multipath operation feature which can send multiple copies of your high priority traffic across different connections. And even if basically you are duplicating your packets. Even if you use one of the connection, then you still have a different copy. And then the last one is a ultra fast failover and all those things, zero latency, all those features that you get. Now you can we discussed, I mentioned point to point, point to multi-point, but then you can connect it as a mesh, in a mixed mesh, or in a mobility. No matter what type of architecture that you have, you can make use of this technology to interconnect those. Now, majority of the times when we talk about Wi-Fi, since most of the people are used to connecting their cell phone, laptops, and tablets, there is a little bit of misunderstanding or a little bit of disconnect there. So if you take a step back and look at this, there are two types of networks you can think of, wireless networks. So one on the left is access networks that you have typically in your carpeted space, where you are connecting your cell phone, laptops, tablets, and all those things to an access point that is broadcasting a signal. Now, on the other side, you have a backhaul network. Backhaul network is where you interconnect that moving assets and all those things, where you have one of your end devices also talks one of the technology that we mentioned. So on the left side, when you say access technology, there is nothing behind that end device or the client. That is a end client. Whereas on the right side, you are talking about a smaller network behind that end client. So you need to have one of the end devices or the client device to support this, and behind that you can create a smaller network of probably cameras or some other devices, sensors, or something, that whatever you want to connect to. So those are the primary differences between these two networks. Now, with that in mind, let's move to what we are doing new. So this Wi-Fi was existing for a long time. Your ultra reliable wireless backhaul, that also been in the industry for quite some time now. Now, what we are doing new. So if you look at again, going back to the same manufacturing example, so let's assume that the previous, in order to solve the previous issue, if you want to do something with the Cisco ultra reliable wireless backhaul, so as a customer, you might have to create a separate network, a parallel network, because as I said, these two are pretty much, in terms of chipsets and frequency and all those things are the same, but the technology is different. So because of that, you need to have two separate networks. That was the case until now. So what it means, as a customer, you need to manage these two networks. You have channel allocations issues. You need to do cable runs in order to put that additional access points. You are making use of one extra switch ports. Pretty much you're kind of duplicating your infrastructure in order to serve these clients. So what we are doing now is we are combining these two. So the traditional Wi-Fi technology, we are combining the ultra reliable wireless backhaul, or the URWB technology along with that. So what it means is you get the benefits of both worlds. Now let's go back to our previous example where we left. So we have connectivity issues and how we are going to solve it. So what I was explaining is you can literally turn one of the radios of that access point, or your traditional Wi-Fi access point into a URWB mode. So what it means is while your usual clients connect over the Wi-Fi, your URWB clients or what that sits on your AGV or on the forklifts, they can connect over the URWB network. So in a nutshell, you are basically solving the problem of a typical client device, Wi-Fi client device, and also the backhaul network that we are talking about. Or in other words, you are extending your network all the way from your carpeted space or your regular office space to the factory floor. So if you think of your IT and OT, normally the infrastructure within the office space is managed by IT, and when it comes to the manufacturing floor, it's a OT. So in this case, the same network can be, or the same SSID, or the same connectivity, and the same set of protocols and everything, whatever you use, can be extended all the way to the factory floor, and that can be managed all the way to the end device, and can be managed with the same set of tools and people and all those things that you have. So that's the biggest advantage that you get. So just to summarize, before up until now, we had two different networks. That's what you see on the top. One is Wi-Fi for your access, and then the URWB. But then now what we did is we are combining this. We are combining this to one single software that can enable the URWB feature on that. So just to summarize one more time, taking a step back, what we had. So up until now, we had URWB, or the Cisco Ultra Reliable Wireless Backhaul support on limited number of devices. You have only the industrial wireless or IW platforms, if you are familiar with the Cisco products and the naming conventions. The IW platforms only supported URWB. You need to have a separate licensing for that. It was a separate software that runs on. It was a separate management platform that we had. So now with this integration, what we are doing is we are basically combining everything. So from two, everything is going as one software, one license, single licensing. You have a single management platform, and moreover, it's not just limited to that IW or the industrial wireless access points. We are extending it to all the other Cisco access points which are existing in the Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7, and then also the future platforms to come. So so what it means is you are basically changing from a mode of operation from as a URWB, you are changing that to a feature. You are basically turning on that as a feature rather than a complete different mode. And also you get benefits in terms of your management. Majority of you customers are familiar with the wireless LAN controller and Catalyst Center for managing your office access points, and now you can manage the same things with the wireless LAN controller or the Catalyst Center. So that's one other biggest advantage in terms of management. So this, we already went on that. So in a nutshell, as a customer, as an end customer, you are getting a lot of benefits in terms of the infrastructure APs and in terms of the access points, in terms of the manageability and all those things. So let's look at the two examples that based on the integrated feature that we mentioned. So let's assume that you have a office building, a campus where you have buildings and you already have a wireless connectivity there. Now you want to extend it to another building, or you want to extend it to that parking lot that you see on the right hand side. So going back to the initial conversation, if it was before, what you have done is you would have done a cable underground. You then pull up an access point on that on that pole, and then you put your camera or you offer a wireless connectivity there. Now you can literally extend that one of the links, one of the radios, you can on that infrastructure, on that building, you can turn it to into URWB mode, and you can create a point-to-point link extending all the way to that light pole where you have the other access points, and where you can have that as a Wi-Fi access point on one of the radios, and then extend it to further the poles down there. So you are eliminating the fiber, you are eliminating the altogether a complete different access point there, and you are extending your same network inside the building all the way up to the parking lot. Basically, your customers or employees are having the same network experience all the way down there. Now, the second one that we mentioned is the manufacturing floor example. The second example is this one. So we already discussed about the connectivity issues and all those things. So now what you can do is you can turn on one of the access points one of the radios on that access point into a URWB mode, which will help establish the connectivity to the mission critical devices such as the AGVs and AMRs and all those things, and also the same access point can serve the clients. So in a nutshell, you are saving a lot of your infrastructure cost in managing the devices, and then all the benefits that we mentioned before, that's what you are going to get there. Now, all those things are good. Now, when are these coming, or when can you start using this? So as I mentioned, this is not limited to only the IW products. By the way, if you are not familiar, the IW products are in the middle, the far four on the right. Those are all the IW that we are talking about, industrial wireless products. Previously, it was only limited to that, the URWB technology. Now we are going across all the platforms that you see here. As we speak, we have already done testing, and we are already supporting on majority of the platforms. Some are there in flight, which is still being validated. So if you look at the images, you can be from 17.18.1, we support on majority of them. 17.18.2, which is coming in December, in the next 2 months, that will bring a few more platforms, and the last one in this list is coming in 26.11, which is coming in March. So these are all only 2 Wi-Fi access points that you can see here, but that's not limited to what you see here. It's going to be added to the future generations as well. And also we support the previous one, Wi-Fi 6 as well. So you can, even if you have an access point today that you have already purchased and deployed, and it happens to be one of them in this table, then you can upgrade your image to 17.18.1 or above in order to get the benefits of this feature. So that is one other advantage in terms of the list of access points that we support. Now, we spoke about managing it for WLC and Catalyst Center and all those things. So the WLC itself, if you upgrade to one of these images, you will see a new option there, URWB, to create a URWB network profile. Basically, you can create a profile. You can you have additional configuration options, and you can pick the radio which you want to turn into URWB. You can pick the channel, all those details you can configure from the WLC itself. So it's the same wireless LAN controller that your IT team is familiar with. You can use the URWB, you can configure, you can manage it with the same set of wireless LAN controllers. Again, excuse me, keep in mind that the feature is available only after the software upgrade on those particular access points, the ones that we mentioned before. I mentioned that the licenses also is something different from what we had before. In the past, we had licenses for different URWB mode as a separate licenses. Now we have combined it into the same DNA licenses that you are familiar with. So if you are using if you want to use in the fixed infrastructure or in the fixed features, if you want to use the point to multipoint type of thing, you can use it with a DNA Essential license for Wi-Fi 6 and 6E platforms. And if you want to use the mobility features, then you have to use the Advantage license. So you do not need a separate license. You just, as long as you have this license, you will be able to enable those features. When it comes to Wi-Fi 7, your licensing is slightly changing. So as along with that, you go with the Cisco Wireless Essentials and Advantage one, which is the unified licenses. And again, this is packaged with the Essentials piece. The fixed features are fixed networking features are packaged with the Essentials, and the mobility one you have to go with to the Advantage one. Now that brings to end of the presentation. We have a lot of resources available. There are web pages that you can go to. There is also a WebEx room if you want to be part of, where you can ask the questions. We will be able to support you. We will be able to answer as much as we can based on the situations that you explained. So with that.